Hey guys, welcome to the channel. If you're new here, it's 𝗙𝗶𝗀𝗀𝗃. Thank you for coming. For the subscribers, always thanks for the love, the support, encouragement. It always means a lot to me. In today's video, these are some of the things I was tagged in, and oh my god, I watched it and my blood boiled. Like, it literally boiled. I was so furious just listening to what this man had to say. But yeah, watch these clips, these two clips. Come back and let's talk about it.
Africans that were brought over into slavery, which wasn't right, but they got the gospel when they got here. And you know what? I bet you there's a lot of Africans that if they hadn't been brought over, not saying it was right, don't misunderstand, not justifying the slavery in the situation, but God, I still believe, used it. And now I'm sure there's a lot of Africans that got the gospel and they're in heaven right now because they got the gospel. You know, what would be better? For them to have lived their entire life in Africa free, doing their voodoo or whatever, and then dying and going to hell, right? Or what happened? And then they go to heaven. They get the opportunity. Now, again, it doesn't justify it. The ends do not justify the means, but this is how God works.
In fact, it seems rather clear that Black Americans are doing better here today than they would be had their ancestors generations ago never been brought to these shores. We can prove this point by simply asking which African country anyone asking for reparations would prefer to live in. The answer, of course, is none of them. Now, you might offer the rebuttal that if slavery never existed, if we're reimagining history without that institution at all, then Africa itself would be in a better shape, better place, and better shape, and maybe indeed Black Americans would be better off there. But this seems highly unlikely. If you go back in time and get rid of slavery from the entire world, you have it's impossible to say what the world looks like right now. Actually, what we can say is that we'd all end up worse. All of us today would be in a worse spot if slavery never existed at all across the entire globe. Because a change that significant would likely shift the course of events in a way that would mean none of us would even exist. It would be a world full of other people who are not us. So I know that I benefit today from virtually everything my ancestors did and everything did to them, because if any of that had not happened, there's a very good chance that I never would have come into being. And as I see it, I benefit from being if the other option is not being.
As you've seen in the videos, these are two white men. One is a pastor, one is a content creator, and I think most of you know who he is, called Matt Walsh, something like that. And what he was saying is basically justifying the actions that were done by the colonizers that came to enslave African people or people around the world. And he was making statements like, you know, if my people, if white people did not go and bring those slaves from their continent where they were free, actually, he literally said where they were free and were praising voodoo or doing witchcraft and never brought them to America or to the Western world, they would literally be in hell. I'm sorry, what? Like, does that even make sense? You have the audacity to go and tell people on how your people came and enslaved other people, but because it was necessary for your people to do that, it was okay. Like, literally, your people, like, I leave my house, I come to your house and I enslave you, and I bring you to my house, and you have to be grateful that I've brought you to my house where you have to eat in my time, you have to do things in my time, and I've literally taken you away from your freedom that you had. But you should be grateful that now you're in a nice house where you are going to get good fruits out of my house for enslaving you. That is the most disturbing thing you can ever hear from somebody. It's so inhuman. I don't really know how some of these people function. Is just questionable. Why would you even say such a statement? Like, why would you say such a dumb statement? And then he also says Christianity was brought to the African people to save us from hell. So that means the only concept of hell has to be in the eyes of the white people. So when you came and you found these people having different cultures, which was different from what you're used to, your first, thought was that they are going to go in hell. I need to save them. I need to enslave them. I need to bring them in my own religion called Christianity so that they can go in heaven, and I'll go and I'll receive the same blessings God promised us. How insensitive is that? How insensitive is that to the people that lost their lives, to the people that had their freedom and it was taken away? So because we have different cultures, that brings out the concept that I am going to go to hell and you are going to go to heaven because you have a different God. from mine. And the question still comes in. So for the people that didn't know about the religion of the colonizers or the colonial people or the white people before they came in the African continent to colonize people, so you mean to tell me they are all burning eternity or internally in hell, right? Those that didn't even know about the concept of Christianity, about the concept of the white boy Jesus, they are burning in hell, right? Because it's so inhuman for someone to come out and justify the actions that were made by selfish people, by greedy people, by crazy people, to come and take the freedom away from other people and still have the guts to come and teach you about God. What this man says is God intended for whatever happened to the African people in the times of slavery, because God needed to use white people to come enslave Africans, take their lives, separate them, and teach them about the religion of Christianity so they could go to heaven, and save them from the voodoo and the witchcraft that was taking them to hell. So Africans needed white saviors to come and save them from hell. Not to justify that slavery happened. I'm not saying it happened and it was good, but God intended, and that's why God used us white people to come enslave Africans and teach them about God so that they could go to heaven. Do you prefer to stay in Africa where people were free and doing voodoo and witchcraft, or you prefer to be enslaved and be taught about God so that you can go to heaven? But they have the same religion that says killing is a crime, but they came, enslaved people, did the same act for them to save Africans and take them to heaven, because that's what God intended, because that's what the white God intended. And Africans are still fighting over the religion of Christianity. They are betting to die over the white boy Jesus in the sky, who actually died for their sins, and they are still sinning today. So basically the white boy still died for nothing, because the sins still stayed and remain today, and they are committed mostly by the same people that brought that religion to the same African people to save them from hell and help them go to heaven. I can't. Then let's talk about Whitewash situation. Whitewash basically says African American people or black people that were enslaved should be really grateful for what happened to them, because if they were left in the African continent, they would not have the blessings, the freedom, and the luxuries that they have in the United States or in the West. He actually goes on to say on how he's proud and he's thankful for his ancestors for what they did to the people, for enslaving people, because otherwise he would not exist and the world would be full of people that don't look like him. So basically he's like, yeah, I'm so glad that we did this to these people that don't look like me, because it was worth it and it was acceptable for my ancestors to do it, for them to survive. Wow, that is a lot to take in. That is a lot to take in. And it's just sad because recently, I think last year, there was an auction of the bones of the African people that were enslaved, that died in the West, and people were auctioning the bones of African descent to actually take them as a prize in their homes. So this person, to say they are proud for what their ancestors did to the people, is disgusting. That is the most also inhuman comment or statement someone can do, and that person does not have a soul. It's ridiculous. You cannot go to someone's house, take their freedom away, enslave them, actually take their lives, and still tell them you're doing them a favor. And actually that question comes in also, who gets to decide on who are more developed and who are not? Because he's saying if the white people didn't colonize, or if the white people didn't do slavery to the African people, nothing would have changed in the continent. You basically stole everything that you have in your countries, the people, the resources, the labor, everything that you have in the United States was taken away from indigenous Asians, indigenous Africans, but you still have the audacity to come and say you did them a favor. and they should be grateful. The black people should be grateful for the colonization or the slavery that happened on them. You demonized people's way of life, and you are still okay to say that you helped them, you did them a favor. Is that the world that we live in? Like, what kind of souls do these people have? Do they even have souls? I'm not saying all of them, but these ones that come out and say these damn comments, I can't. Like, literally, I can't, guys. I don't know if I'm overreacting. Guys, let me know if I'm overreacting, but these are things that make your blood boil, and you just can't avoid but to say something. And I had to say something. Guys, let me know what you think about this. Like, did the colonization do African people justice? Yeah, that's the world we are living in, and these are the people that we have in 2023. Apparently, it is sad, it is disappointing, but it is what it is. Yeah, and yeah, I'll see you in the next video, guys. Bye.